All right. Well, welcome to the 2022 Wildomar City Council Candidate Forum special recording, we'll say. I am with Chuck Jones, one of our candidates running for Wildomar City Council. And we're doing a special recording because Chuck has a very special job that requires his dedication and attention during the time that we are going to be having the candidates forum. So we went ahead and decided we were going to record this special candidate forum video with him so that he has an opportunity to share with everyone where he stands on the issues that are important to the community of Wildomar, mainly on business and community aspects. So thank you, Chuck, for doing this. We appreciate it. For everyone, I'm Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of the Marietta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. We will run this just like we would the candidates forum, but obviously we'll just have the one candidate here, so we won't be jumping back and forth, but you will have 2 minutes to do kind of an opening statement intro for yourself. Then we'll jump into the questions, and then you'll have a 1 minute at the end. And just like in every other candidates forum, I do have these lovely signs that will warn you when you have 30 seconds, when you have 10 seconds, and when you are to stop. So without further ado, let me go ahead and open this up with Chuck giving you the opportunity for your 2 minute opening statement.
First of all, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. And yes, my job is, it does require my attention when I'm on there. I work for the railroad. So when, working around heavy equipment and with passengers, you have to be present. So again, I appreciate this. My name is Chuck Jones. I've lived in Wildomar for 2 years. I moved out here during the pandemic, with passenger rail service being reduced during the pandemic. Even with 10 years of service there, I did not know which side of the furlough I was going to end up on. So kind of as a preemptive, my family owns property out here, so I moved out here. So I wouldn't be stuck in an apartment in LA that I could not afford. I grew up in Southern California. I've kind of lived all over in Orange. I grew up in Orange County. My family has been in Orange County since the late 1800s. So we have deep roots here in Southern California. I lived in Los Angeles County, spent 2 years on Catalina Island. When I was over there, I was managing the Catalina Island Country Club. And for the last 11 years, I have worked for Amtrak as a dining car steward, working between LA and Chicago. And, my time here, it's been an adjustment. And through the last 2 years, the experiences I've had have kind of led me to where I am today, running for city council and wanting to better represent our district, and the needs of the people here, not just in the district, but in the city.
Great. Thank you. All right. So let me adjust my timer here. All right. So first question for you is, what is your vision for the city of Wildomar?
My vision for Wildomar is pretty simple. First and foremost, the support and the welcome that I received during my time here has been amazing. The people that live in the city, I can't speak highly enough about them. They've definitely made my transition easier. I want a place where people can come home, where it's peaceful, where it's safe, that they're proud to call home. I want people to have pride in the amenities that we offer, whether it be, convenient, locally homegrown businesses. It's fairly simple. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm just trying to make it better, because I think the people in Wildomar deserve better.
Great. Thank you. All right, next question. A council member needs support from a majority of the council to pass resolutions and ordinances. So what experience do you have in consensus building? Can you give me an example of that?
In consensus building, at work, oftentimes, I work with a crew of typically anywhere from 8 to 10 people. And when something doesn't go right, or if there's a service disruption of some sort, because stuff does happen out on the rails, it does take a team, and it does take a team leader to do that. And when I'm on the train, I am the employee in charge, but I can't do it without those other people. So if I've got people who are a little resistant to the way I'm doing it, maybe perhaps because they've tried it that way and it doesn't work, I'm always open to listen. And it's better to do things together than it is on your own. But that doesn't mean that if something doesn't feel right for me or for the people, that I won't speak up on their behalf.
Great, thank you. All right. There are issues that the city faces regarding infrastructure in certain areas to propel development. What do you see as the role of the city and you as an elected city council member regarding these issues?
First and foremost, the need, wherever the development, the needs of the residents, because the residents, drive these streets every day, all day. They know what they need. If we are adding more development, one, is the infrastructure already there? And if not, are these businesses or whatever type of commercial development we want to bring in, are these people who want to develop here, are they contributing to that aspect as well? Because I know personally, I live in an area where I drive over bumpy streets all day. And before I have development, I would like those streets fixed. If we have something that people want to come to, but it's not easily accessible, or if the streets pose a cost risk to repairs for your cars, or a safety risk, why is anybody going to come? So that the infrastructure should come first and foremost.
Cool. All right. Next question. What, in your opinion, will be the greatest challenges that the city will face in the next 5 years?
I think there's a couple. It is building that tax revenue that's so needed for the things that we want, for infrastructure, for law enforcement, and trying to balance the rural roots of the city and the rural aspect that so many people moved here for, and that they do enjoy. I think finding that balance with what is going to be beneficial for the community and what the community wants, because they may not always match up to what the community wants and what's going to be beneficial overall for everybody. It's finding that balance. And I believe it can be done. I believe it can be done as long as everybody stays involved, and their needs are advocated for.
Great, thank you. All right, how important is economic development to you, and how will you assist in making Wildomar a vibrant community?
Economic development is very important, first and foremost, because I'm going to go back to the roads that I drive on every day. When out talking to people, the two things that they mentioned most were the roads and safety in regards to law enforcement, and the type of nefarious activities that we do see a lot of over in my district. And we can't address those things without some sort of tax revenue coming in the means of, development. Now, I do believe there's a lot of great concepts out there that are conducive to driving in tax dollars, conducive to locally homegrown businesses, and to creating community. And that's the biggest thing for me. What I've seen out here is people do like to know their neighbors. They do like to get together, and if we have those spaces that can bring all those things together, then why not seek those out?
Thank you. All right. Next is, what do you see? No. Oh, yeah. So what do you see as the biggest obstacles to bring business with quality jobs to the city?
again, I believe that is balancing what the people in the city want. Because if we do have warehouses and we're, bringing in these big trucks that are driving over the roads and destroying the roads, like the condition the roads in are the conditions that the roads in are already, it's only going to make the situation worse. Infrastructure is definitely, if we're going to bring anything in, we do have to be mindful about that infrastructure, and the best we can whoever comes in to develop, try to get them to contribute it to it somehow. We don't necessarily have the tax dollars, so we do need to find ways to get that infrastructure done, and whether it be through them or whether it be through grants that we seek out, working with our friends in Congress, whatever we need to do to make the city a better place, to get those things that we need.
Thank you. All right. Many cities in California have adopted public policies favoring mixed uses in their land use maps, and incorporating buildings that offer retail on the ground floor, office space on the second floor, and residential on the third floor. What is your position on mixed use development in the city of Wildomar?
I think it comes down to location. Is it in an area that already has a little bit of higher development? Those mixed use places do best in areas that do already have things accessible to them. And a lot of the areas here, we don't necessarily have those things accessible. Do we want to start, building up when we have areas that are sitting empty already? I don't necessarily feel it's something that is pertinent at the moment. But I do believe there, certain areas, sure, other areas, people aren't going to want that. We have to honor what people want for their neighborhoods, and I'm, my job here is to advocate for their needs, not necessarily things that I may think would be great,
Thank you. Sorry, I missed that 30-second sign. That was my bad.
You're okay.
All right. We have a large and growing healthcare medical ecosystem here in our valley. Prop 29, which would require on-site licensed medical professionals at kidney dialysis centers. What are your thoughts on this issue and its impact to business?
I will be honest, first and foremost, I would have to look into this a little more. But I am of the thought that, with the way healthcare is in this country already, I don't necessarily see an issue with somebody being on site that is knowledgeable to do those things. But again, this isn't something that necessarily affects me, and I would have to, to be as transparent and honest as possible, I would have to look into that a little more. So I don't want to speak on something that I may not necessarily be well versed on.
Great, thank you. All right. Wildomar has embarked on an update of the general plan for the city. How have you been engaged with the discussions and feedback opportunities? And what is your thoughts regarding the general plan update?
I will be honest. My focus first and foremost, because of the experience I've had here the last 2 years, is honestly safety and law enforcement. I for 2 years I lived next to a problematic property with nefarious activity going on, cars in various states of disrepair, harassment of me and my animals, and the response from the city was very tepid. The response from law enforcement was very tepid. There's a lot of missed opportunities. And when out speaking to people in my area, that was one of their number one concerns, and so for me, that is something I have to look into. But my concern first and foremost is the safety of people and their property in my community.
Thank you. All right. Wildomar is experiencing growth that has not been used to, in the past. What are your thoughts on this growth? Within this growth, do you see the need for a defined downtown area in Wildomar? And if so, where do you envision that?
I don't know if I necessarily feel like there needs to be a downtown. Downtowns usually are something that kind of develop organically rather than rather than like super planned out. Like there's a lot of development in the area already. I believe that we should focus on bringing in concepts that are conducive to mom and pop businesses, to local businesses, because one of the businesses that's most popular here is Montague Brothers Coffee. We need more concepts like that. That people enjoy going to. That is not necessarily, and nothing against Applebee's or Chili's or Massage Envy. But are we going to lather, rinse, repeat in our development, or are we going to bring something that is like exclusively us?
Great, thank you. All right, and the last question. There's an ample amount of time that is needed to be dedicated to being an elected city council member, whether it's for events or doing your due diligence for meetings. Are you prepared to dedicate this time if you are elected? Also, how available will you make yourself to the public with their concerns and questions?
Yes, this is something that has been challenging campaigning with the job that I have and the current route that I'm on. But I'm lucky enough that we have various routes that will make it a lot easier. So I can be off the same days every week. And so to dedicate, 4 full days, sun up to sundown, is a lot of time to dedicate that. So I will have time to make myself available. I can't say that I will be at every event, because thousands of other blue collar workers in the area, I have to support myself. But the steps that I am taking, I'm actually going to be taking a pay cut in order to be able to serve the community.
Great, thank you. All righty, so that's the last question that I have for you. So I'm going to allow you a minute for a closing statement, and I will go ahead and let you finish that water, take a breath, and then go ahead and let you have a minute for a closing statement.
Okay, I think I'm ready. I running for city council here in Wildomar was never in my plans. I had always thought I was going to run for city council in my hometown just because I do have such deep roots there. But when the universe kind of lays things out for you and it's very clear, you go ahead and take those steps. And to give a little insight for the last 2 years, I just happened to live next to such a problem property, and there were a lot of missed opportunities with the city council or with the city. Some people on the council, I will say there was one person in particular that did make a good faith effort to make sure that I was heard. Unfortunately, it was not the person that was representing my district. There were missed opportunities within law enforcement. So I would like to put myself in a position that we can figure out where these shortcomings were, what we need to do to empower law enforcement to do their jobs, to empower the city to be able to take action on these things, to prevent what happened to me happening to anybody else.
Great. Chuck, thank you again for the time. I really appreciate it. For everyone who's watching this video, I want to thank you for tuning in to get informed on the candidates and where they stand on certain issues. Definitely want to make sure that encourage you all to get out and vote. It's extremely important. It's one of the most important things that you can do to really truly have effect on the communities that we live in and work in every single day. So thank you again for the time, and I appreciate this opportunity to really get the word out.
Absolutely. Thank you again.